Today we are covering Designing Microsoft Azure Infrastructure Solutions. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, you are developing a sales application that will contain several Azure cloud services and will handle different components of a transaction. Different cloud services will process customer orders, billing, payment, inventory, and shipping. You need to recommend a solution to enable the cloud services to asynchronously communicate transaction information by the using REST messages. What should you include in the recommendation? Option A, Azure Service Bus. Option B, Azure Blob Storage. Option C, Azure Notification Hubs. Option D, Azure Application Gateway. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, you have an Azure subscription that contains a custom application named application was developed by an external company named Fabric Limited. Developers at Fabricam were assigned role-based access control (RBAC) permissions to the application components. All users are licensed for the Microsoft 365 E5 plan. You need to recommend a solution to verify whether the Fabricam developers still require permissions to application 1. The solution must be the following requirements. Option first requirement. To the manager of the developers, send a monthly email messages that lists the access permissions to application 1. Second, if the manager does not verify access permission automatically, revoke that permission. Third, minimize development effort. What should you recommend? Option A. In Azure Active Directory AD Privileged Identity Management, create a custom role assignment for the application 1 resources. Option B. Create an Azure Automation Runbook that runs the Get Azure AD User App Role Assignment CMD let. Option C. Create an Azure Automation Runbook that runs the Get Azure RM Role Assignment CMD let. Option D. In Azure Active Directory Azure AD, create an access review of application 1. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, your company named Contoso Limited implements several Azure Logic apps that have HTTP triggers. The Logic apps provide access to an on-premises web service. Contoso establishes a partnership with another company named Fabricam Inc. Limited. Fabricam does not have an existing Azure Active Directory Azure AD tenant and uses third-party OAuth 2.0 identity management to authenticate its users. Developers at Fabricam plan to use a subset of the Logic apps to build applications that will integrate with the on-premises web service of Contoso. You need to design a solution to provide the Fabricam developers with access to the Logic apps. The solution must meet the following requirements. First, requests to the Logic apps from the developers must be limited to lower rates than the requests from the users at Contoso. Second, the developers must be able to rely on their existing OAuth 2.0 provider to gain access to the Logic apps. Third, the solution must not require changes to the Logic apps. Fourth, the solution must not use Azure AD guest accounts. What should you include in the solution? Option A. Azure AD Business to Business B2B. Option B. Azure AD Application Proxy. Option C. Azure Front Door. Option D. Azure API Management. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, you are designing an order processing system in Azure that will contain the Azure resources shown in the following table. The order processing system will have the following transaction flow. First, a customer will place an order by using app 1. Second, when the order is received, app 1 will generate a message to check for product availability at vendor 1 and vendor 2. Third, an integration component will process the message and then trigger either function 1 or function 2 depending on the type of order. Once a vendor confirms the product availability, a status message of app 1 will be generated by function 1 or function 2. Fourth, all the steps of the transaction will be logged to storage 1. Which type of resource should you recommend for the integration component? Which type of resource should you recommend? Option A, an Azure Data Factory pipeline. Option B, an Azure Service Bus queue. Option C, an Azure Event Grid domain. Option D, an Azure Event Hubs capture. Correct answer is option A.